And hello, car lovers, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. I'm Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And our goal today is to give you lots of great information that will make your car, truck, or SUV safer and to make it more dependable and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And our team would also like to say thank you to all of you that ride with us on the CNC Auto Show. We really do appreciate you allowing us to be a part of your weekend. We're here to take your phone calls. That's what we get out of the deal.
Yep,
is when you
right.
call in and talk to us, and we get to be a part of your life and share stories. And the number to call is 706-863-5800. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And you can also catch us live or on air. You can catch us on iHeartRadio, WGAC 95.1 FM. You can also watch us live on Facebook. We invite you to join us. We invite your phone calls. And we also want to mention something really neat. This is something that would probably be good to write down or put in your phone or something like that. If you're friends looking for a good, dependable auto repair facility, we recommend going to NapaAutoCare.com. You can hit that little search box in the top right-hand corner, and you'll find a list of some of the best repair facilities in the whole country. And that's NapaAutoCare.com. John Ryan, are we ready?
Yeah, let's crank up the show.
All right, here we go. The show is fired up. We hadn't cranked the show in a while. Let's fire this bad boy up one time. Here we go. We did it.
There you go.
Show is cranked up. Okay, we are off and running. We have a fantastic show planned today. This is early July is when we celebrate our country's independence. And because of that, we'll be talking off and on about different military vehicles. Now, a large percentage of them will be vehicles or machines. That's actually military machines that are used by the U.S. But we'll talk a little bit about a lot of different pieces of military equipment. It's kind of neat. Also, during early July, so many people are doing barbecues and they're doing so many different things to celebrate.
Yeah.
We want to mention how important it is to be careful.
It is.
If you're out driving, if you plan to travel, get plenty of rest before you drive, have your vehicle checked over well before you get on the road. And then also as you're doing things like swimming, if you're boating, make sure that everyone has the flotation devices, do everything that you're supposed to do as far as boating, be safe, and also be careful on the water also, because this show's not only about vehicles or cars, it's about anything to do with transportation.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Boats do fall into that category. But I'm going to go one step further. If you're grilling out, make sure the kids stay well away from the grill.
Right.
And again, even if you're swimming in a home swimming pool, enjoy your
don't spend it at the hospital.
But be careful. Yeah, you don't want to. And those fireworks, don't assume that thing's a dud. Be careful with fireworks.
You've done that a time or two?
Huh?
You've done that a time or two?
Well, we don't want to talk about that.
All right, let's go over to Sam.
I'm ready to go. Hey, Sam, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. I hear that you have a 05 Honda, and it stopped blowing cold. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I'm going to pretend, John Ryan, I think this will be kind of neat.
Okay.
This is what a good service advisor does, and you add to this as we go, okay?
All right.
All right, here we go. All right, Sam, you're walking up to the counter. And, all right, in your air on your 05 Honda Accord has stopped blowing cold. Sam, when did it stop blowing cold?
I was sitting at a red light, and it just went from cold and just started blowing hot.
Okay, how long ago did it do this? Has it been since?
About 2 weeks ago.
Okay, about 2 weeks ago. Okay, has any components been replaced for this issue before?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, has the AC system been serviced in the last year?
No, I haven't actually done anything to it because it's been blowing cold since I bought the car in 2006.
Okay, and just to confirm again, the AC will blow cold as you're going down the road, but blows warm when you're sitting still.
No, it just went warm. Just went warm and doesn't blow anything cold at all.
Okay, it won't blow cold at all. Well, I was writing it down for the technician, John Ryan.
No, I'm just teasing. Only other question I'd add to that, which we've kind of walked through it, is the volume of air coming out of the dash.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the blower motor is turning, right? You just
The
don't
blower
have
motor's turning, it's just blowing hot air.
Okay.
How'd I do, John Ryan?
I think you did good.
Fairly good.
Really good. You misspelled every word you wrote down, but did good.
Okay, here we go.
Sam, those Accords, there's 2 or 3 things. Well, actually, there's 100 different things it could be. But just out of curiosity, does the AC light flash by any chance?
No, it doesn't.
So
It doesn't flash at all.
It stays
When you
on
put
just
air
like.
on, it just says air, AC on.
Okay. There's a few things that I can think of that can cause that problem. Like you mentioned, it was blowing cold. It's been doing fine, but now it's stopped. Normally, if it was a compressor issue as far as the performance of it or the cooling capacity of it, it kind of gradually goes out. It's not just like one day it cools and the next day it doesn't. Normally, you start losing performance and stuff like that. So I'm actually, obviously, if the car was here, we'd do all these tests on it. But I'm just kind of going at like what you've told us so far. I'm going to suspect an electrical issue. There's really 2 things that I can think of that are very common on some of the Honda models. One, the relay. The relay controls the compressor itself. The relay basically does the heavy-duty wiring work and sends power out to the compressor. Those relays are kind of notorious for failure. If you can imagine, that relay works probably. If you drove 10 miles, it probably works 10 times, on, off, to cycle that compressor. So you can imagine the mileage and how much wear and tear that relay has. And eventually it gets to the point to where it can't make the electrical contact. And, of course, it won't work. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and you should too, that's the problem because, of course, that's a real cheap and inexpensive fix. The other thing, assuming that it's not getting power to the compressor, would be the compressor itself. Of course, there's a clutch on the front that actually energizes, that makes that compressor turn. And a lot of times they get power, but the magnetic gap can become so, it sounds like it's a huge gap, but this is, say maybe 1/8 of an inch. When it becomes bigger than that, the magnetic field isn't strong enough to pull it back in. So that's one other problem. Or issue that you run into. What a technician would do is hook up a bunch of equipment. First step would be a set of gauges or an AC machine to see what the AC pressures are. And it'd be a static pressure because, of course, it is not working most likely. And then they would, go down the electrical side of it. See if the compressor's getting power. If it is getting power, they're going to check the clutch side. If it's not getting power, they'd go back and check like the relay and the command from the HVAC module and all that kind of stuff.
And there are a few codes that can be stored in a computer also where the computer would cut it off. But by far the things that you mentioned. And Sam, I'm going to tell you that John Ryan would not have been able to give you all those answers if I wouldn't have done such a great job as a service advisor writing it down for him.
I agree.
Down the symptoms.
I really do.
Because we did good.
Because there are, some, tickets that say AC not working.
Yeah. And that is important to do just that when you're carrying a car in to have it repaired. Have as many details as you can, and that saves time, and actually that saves money in the long run.
I did think of something, Sam, you would be interested in doing yourself if you'd like. Turn the AC on, crank the car up, pop the hood, and the compressor on that one is, if you're looking down at the belt system, it's all the way down the bottom corner, kind of closest to the, I guess you would say the furthermost part of the engine, and there's a clutch on the front of it, and it's kind of a metallic plate, and of course it turns into the compressor. So you could just look in there and see if it's actually turning.
Yeah, compressor's not turning.
Okay, well then, the diagnostic test that I mentioned would need to be done.
Let me ask you this: how do you check the relay to see if it's good or bad?
Sam, we'll put you on hold. We're about to go to a break, and we'll answer that for you as soon as we get return.
Talk to you shortly, Sam, and we will be back, and we will be talking more to Sam, and we'll be answering other questions, and talking about military equipment, military machines, all that and more with the CNC Auto Show, and we'll be right back. We are back with you on the CNC Auto Show, and when we're talking about awesome military equipment, I can't help but think of my favorite fighter jet.
Right. What is it?
And it's been around a long time, and it's not, and it's pretty much outdated now. Mm-hmm. But it's just always been one of my favorites, even though it was an older one. And that might be because I had the opportunity to be a crew chief on one for a lot of years. Had my name on the side.
All right.
I still remember that tail number. It was number 71254. And it was just a beautiful airplane. It was just, for whatever reason, I just loved it. I still remember, I think the fuselage had about 2,000 gallons of gas. And
Really?
Centerline would hold about 600 gallons. It had 2 outboard tanks, about 370. And you get all that filled up, and I think it would go for about 2.5 hours or something like that. But it was fast. It was about a 1,600 mile per hour airplane,
Yeah.
2-seater. Just an absolutely beautiful airplane. As a matter of fact, a lot of people have mentioned that it's proof that you can make a rock fly if you put enough power behind it. And I just always loved that airplane. Okay, are we ready to go back and talk to Sam
Let's go back
about
to Sam,
his relay condition? Sam, I think John Ryan's got something really neat for you.
Well, Sam, you were talking about, testing it and everything. No doubt there's some equipment that you would need to test it, typically like a device like a power probe or something that would actually actuate power to it, and then a meter to see if it's got continuity across it. But one thing that you can do just kind of in the driveway, of course, it's an easy test, would be just swap it with another relay that's similar shape, size, and typically it has amperage on top of it. I wouldn't leave that in there for a long period of time. A lot of times the horn relay is the same, or a lot of times the fuel pump relay is the same.
Yeah, look at the part numbers and make sure they look the exact same part numbers.
Right. Make sure the pin orientation is the same. So just, that's one test you can do. How a technician would test that is actually using back probes and actually probe the relay while it's still connected to the vehicle and see if it's got what they call the coil side, if it's being energized, and then see if it has the power. And then, of course, being actuated. But one quick test would be to definitely swap it.
Yeah, good idea. I think I'll try that.
Okay. Hope that helps.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, thanks.
All right, Sam.
And we thank you. Okay, we'll be going to Wayne, but before we do, I thought it might be kind of neat if we went ahead and give a tech tip quiz or laid that on the table. That way it would be fair to Wayne.
All right.
Because he'd have the opportunity to answer that. On this tech tip quiz, the winner will win a coffee mug, a hat, and I answered the tech tip quiz golf shirt. And here's the question. Johnny's only 16 years old. He got a pretty nice car when he got his driver's license last month. Well, yesterday he got home from school. He pulled into his driveway at over 30 miles an hour and hit the rear of his father's 2008 Chevy Silverado. His father was on the front porch watching and just laughed about it. Why didn't his father get mad? So if somebody knows the answer, they're eligible to win all of those Tech Tip quiz prizes. And are we ready to go to the next caller?
Yeah, let's go over to Wayne here.
Hello, Wayne, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And what can we help you with today?
Help.
Help.
I like it. We will.
98 Z71 Silverado.
Uh-huh.
I put a brake booster in. Everything's fine. Everything's good to go. I got ready to leave. It's locked in park, no brake lights.
Did you say it's locked in park and no brake lights?
Locked in park, no brake lights.
Okay. And when you swapped over everything, of course, you had to take the brake switch off, correct?
I did take the brake switch. I had to drop the steering column.
Right. To get to the bolts.
And then right. And then I put a new brake switch on it, but it's still nothing.
Okay. Yeah, those brake switches are kind of difficult to install. You probably, obviously, if you put it on there, you remember that. You know how it goes over half the side of the push rod, and then you lock it down in there, and of course, you pull the switch down to kind of make contact with the pedal.
That's right. That's right.
Does if you were to lay up under there, does it look like that little? Typically, they're a white plastic little tab. Does it look like it's contacting it?
It's flipped over that little rod thing.
Right, it is. Okay, perfect. But the little tab that actually depresses in the switch, does it look like it's contacting the push rod?
Now that I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, because that switch is normally pressed in, and of course that would be off. And then when you press the pedal, the tab, extends because, of course, the pedal's moving away from it. And then, of course, it would turn the brake lights on. So the only other thing I can think of, I know this sounds crazy, but that switch assembles, if you can imagine this, it's going to assemble towards the gas pedal. When you slide that piece on, the side with, I don't know if I'm describing this well enough, the side with, only half of the circle, if that makes sense, goes towards the driver, or the left side of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So if you have that switch on upside down, it would do the same thing.
I didn't think I could put it upside down, but I will double check that.
Yeah, double check that.
There's no kind of adjustment on that or anything?
No, not on that model. On some of the late model ones there are. That all the Dodges had adjustment to it, but not on that particular model.
And Wayne, one last thing, just in case, in moving things around, there's a chance something may have touched the wires. But may have blown the fuse.
Could have, yeah.
Go ahead and check all your fuses also. And we mentioned before, when you check fuses, don't pull each one out and look at it, because that's not good.
Yeah.
Buy a cheap cheap test light, but only, but don't use this on other components other than fuses, because it pulls more amp than a computer can handle. But it's fine for checking fuses with a cheap test light, and just touch each side of the fuse, make sure they both light up. And do that with the key on,
right?
And always a chance you may have blown a fuse.
Yeah, I've checked all the fuses with a test light. That's all good. I just done something. It was working fine before I started, and I haven't got something connected back or hit the wire.
So Wayne, you're the one to blame, huh?
I cannot lie.
All right, Wayne. Hope that helps. We're all out of time.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think he's got anything serious.
No, I don't think so.
But this is serious. We're out of time. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of the CNC Auto Show just after these messages. All right, back with you on the CNC Auto Show. And during today's show, we're answering automotive questions. And so if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, give us a call, 706-863-5800. We also have a tech tip quiz laying on the table. If someone knows the answer to our tech tip quiz, they're eligible to win a really neat prize, or some prize, or like a prize package.
Yeah.
And also, we're talking about military machines. So one of the military machines that we did some research on is a Stiletto. It's a double M hull design, and it allows it to achieve an unequaled ride in the rough seas. And it cruises at about 50 knots, and it hauls up to about 20 tons of gear. And it's considered a Cadillac of the sea. The M80 Stiletto is the largest U.S. Navy vessel using carbon fiber composite and epoxy building techniques. In other words, plastic and glue.
Yeah, I had one. I had to get rid of it, though.
Oh, yeah. That is one awesome-looking machine. And one other thing I'm going to mention is these are pieces of equipment that we know about.
Right.
If someone is either in the military or been in the military at one time and knows of a piece of equipment that they really thought was neat.
Or we can even change it up. Call in with your favorite one.
Yeah, call in with your favorite piece of equipment, military equipment that you know of. I think that'll really be neat. Are we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, Aaron, I think it's Chris's turn. Let's go over to him.
Let's do that. Hey, Chris, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Very nicely. Wait a minute.
I
think I see where you may have an answer to our tech tip quiz.
I'm going to give it a try.
All right, we're going to have to sift Blues here today. Hold on one second. He might not be here.
Nope.
No, Blue's gone. Let's get a fill-in for Blue. You got any ideas?
He can play a different note.
We won't do that. Okay, Blue's not here, Chris, so we are ready for your question. Your answer to our question.
I'm going to say when he turned in the driveway at 30 miles an hour, it wasn't a real car. It was an RC car.
Huh?
What does that?
On the radio controlled RC.
An RC car.
Well, I've had my experience with them, and they're real easy for them to get away from you.
Chris, you are absolutely right. The car was an RC car. It actually come from Hobbytown, and those remote control cars, they can run, some of them run 50, 60, 70 miles an hour?
Yeah, I'd say like the entry models now run 50, and a lot of them run up to 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, they're very, very fast. And when Johnny pulled in with his little remote control car, he hit the left rear tire of the truck, and of course it didn't hurt anything. It didn't even hurt the car, actually, when he did that. So, Chris, you are absolutely correct, and you'll be getting those models, all of the prize package items, the shirt, and all these other things. And use your power with that shirt wisely, please.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, y'all.
May the 4th be with you, Chris. Okay. Hey,
We're gonna put you on hold, Chris.
yeah, Chris, we need to put you on hold so they can get all of your information there. All right. Okay. And Chris is on hold. Another item that I thought was kind of neat. We find out about some really neat news from time to time.
Meaning 2 minutes before the show.
Yeah, 2 minutes before the show. Exactly how it's happened. Well, this is another sinkhole story.
Okay.
Yeah, Jordan Westerberg was working out at a St. Louis downtown gym with his fiance on Thursday morning, and when he walked out the door after his workout, he noticed a crowd was around his vehicle, and he walked up a little closer and didn't see his vehicle. He said, "Well, they towed my vehicle off."
Yeah.
So he got a little closer and looked way down in there, and a sinkhole had sucked his whole car down there.
Oh, wow.
And water from a pipe was spraying on it afterwards.
It was a free car wash.
Yeah, and he mentioned that what was kind of strange is the Camry is not really that heavy.
Right.
It's not like a really heavy car.
Yeah.
But it just went boom. So sinkholes they're a little bit more common.
Yeah.
Than they used to be. So everyone needs to be very careful about
the
where
one
you
that
park
you
at.
mentioned that happened here in our town. I think you mentioned it last show or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's been filled back up. I believe they're still doing some plumbing issues and stuff like that. I'm not positive it's full.
I hadn't really been by there. I don't know if they're on the way to having it completely repaired.
I'm not
going to
make it a point to go by there. I'm afraid I'd fall in.
Yeah. But that would be a terrible feeling to walk by and see that your vehicle has been pulled in to a sinkhole on there. Okay, some of the other military pieces of equipment that I remember that I always that I think's really neat, like the F-16 fighter, the F-15 fighter, the F-18 fighter. Those are all beautiful pieces of equipment with so many electronics. But I'll give you an idea of how far they come. You also have the F-35 Lightning, which it's about a 1,200 miles an hour.
Wow!
It would it go? But what's really neat about it is it has systems to where it can actually do and when I say short field takeoff, I mean very, very short field takeoff.
Yeah.
Because of variable nozzles. And then
like how far are we talking about? Like in yards?
now this is very rough.
Yeah,
and this is
I'm
my
not going to
guess.
quote
I'm
you.
gonna say 40 or 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That fast?
very
Wow.
short. And also, it can do a vertical landing. It can catapult off of a ship. Now, of course, it uses a resting hook when it comes in.
Yeah.
But just a beautiful piece of equipment. But here's an example. That F4 that I was talking about a little earlier, when it was built in the 60s, it was about $2.5 million a piece.
Okay.
This one, about $120 million
Oh, wow.
a piece.
Slight increase.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with all the unbelievable electronics that's involved in these aircraft now. Yeah, it's just really something to see.
Yeah, for sure.
In there. And of course, there'll probably be a lot of people around the country going to different air shows this time of year, and being able to see a lot of military equipment there. I also like to see older airplanes. I love that. When people get a chance to go see different battleships that are around the country, that you get to go in and see different pieces of equipment there.
Not too long ago, you went to one, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I went to the one in Alabama.
Okay.
Very enjoyable trip. So if you get a chance to go to visit different places like that, would be really neat to see also. Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, just give us a call. And we're answering automotive questions, but we're also talking about different things to do with the military. There's a system called a a Supra. Let me see.
Supra, I believe,
class.
yeah.
And these are beginning to be more and more common now as hovercraft,
Yeah.
where they can get the troops and the equipment onto the land, from the sea to the land, easier and faster.
Yeah, quicker. Yeah.
Without having to wade through the water as much. They can get them directly onto the land. So those type ships are more and more common and very neat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Got a cool picture of them pulled up on the screen.
Yeah,
there.
on the screen there. Okay, number to call, 706-863-5800. Now, one of the next things that we're talking about this time of year is a lot to do with maintenance on the vehicles. One of the things that I'm seeing this time of year a lot of is more and more people are talking about knowing that their transmission needs to be serviced at a certain time.
Right.
There was a time to where when vehicles would have a certain amount of miles, they wouldn't. They were really concerned about getting it serviced. So
I think what's stuck in everybody's head is after 100,000 miles, don't do it. But that's far from the truth.
Exactly. But now with the pieces of equipment that we have now, you're pulling out all of the transmission fluid and you're putting all new transmission fluid in. Whereas years ago, you would remove you take the pan off.
I'd say about 60%.
Yeah, you would lose about 5 quarts of fluid.
Yeah.
And then you would put the pan back on with a new filter, and you'd put about 5 quarts of new fluid back in. That would mix with the old fluid, and that would cause a lot of issues.
Right.
With today's equipment, it goes in and it's a total fluid exchange. Some people call it a flush.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not wild about that word, yeah.
Yeah, that word kind of implies that you're putting pressure inside the transmission.
Like you're pressure washing
But actually, the transmission is pushing the old fluid out under its own pressure, and then it goes under a little diaphragm, and it pushes that diaphragm upward, and the new fluid goes in to take its place.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the
So
diaphragm.
no undue stress on the transmission at all.
I think
And
the
what
only
is-
other factor that has make that service been better is, of course, the way the transmissions are made also, too.
Exactly.
A lot better quality.
Yeah, and then along with that, you're also getting all the old metal particles out of there.
Contaminants, yeah.
And if you take old transmission fluid and put between your finger,
You can feel the
and
grit,
it builds up heat. You take new fluid and it feels so cool and slick till it's got to make the transmission last longer.
Right.
It's time to take a real quick break. We'll be right back with more automotive information right after these messages. And we are back with you on the CNC Auto Show. We are answering automotive questions, and we are also talking about military machines. And the Ocelot is intended for use as a light protected patrol vehicle with specialized protection against roadside bombs and improvised or IEDs. The protective pod, where it has up to 6, or it can hold up to 6 people. And actually, this is what makes it sort of unique.
Yeah.
The pod is interchangeable, and so you can modify this vehicle to be an ambulance, a supply vehicle, a Jeep, and the parts on this can be easily replaced. Mm-hmm. Why don't they do that on
The
cars,
F-250s?
consumer cars?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, some of them are just not that easy to replace when you do that. So that is it also does very good in the jungle, deep mud, ruts, and its cabin's made for out of advanced composite materials. And that's something that we see in a common thread on a lot of these military vehicles, but also that is moving over to the consumer vehicle bracket
yeah.
is more and more composites. You see a car going down the road and it looks like you would think that it's just an aluminum or a steel vehicle.
Right.
But after you do a little research or push it on it or check it, you'll find that the vehicle's mostly plastic.
That, and then, of course, the higher-end vehicles, some of them carbon fiber hoods, trunk
Yes.
lids, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So,
You ready to go to the calls?
yeah, let's go over to Madeline.
Fantastic. Madeline, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with today?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I have a 2004 Ford Escape, which I love dearly, and I would like to keep it going as long as possible. But my airbag light keeps coming on, and we took initially it came on only when I was decelerating at a stoplight, or slowing down, and we took it to the dealer, and they couldn't find anything wrong with it, and now it's on all the time now. Is it going to blow on me?
No, Madeline, that's a good question. And it's a good point to make. Anytime a trouble light is on, that in this instance, obviously the airbag light, that means that system will not operate. And it's basically the car's way of telling you the light is on and I'm not going to work. Hopefully, obviously this won't happen, but in the event of an accident with that light on, the airbags will not deploy. It won't blow up in your face. It won't, prematurely, go off for any reason because that system is turned off with that light on. Now, as far as the light coming and going, and now it's on all the time, that's kind of a good thing, just simply because there's going to be a trouble code stored in that system. Could be 1, could be 5, and it'll lead a technician into the area of the fault. That computer really kind of looks at all the system and the settings and, of course, the sensors and airbags and all that, and it does a check of them. And it basically, monitors them, and it's seeing something it doesn't agree with. It could see an open circuit. It could see a bad seat belt. One thing that's kind of common on some of those escapes is the clock spring, which is the little mechanism that's behind the steering wheel to transfer all the wires out of the steering wheel. Sounds like a random question, but does the horn work?
Yep.
Yep, I agree. It works.
It works.
That's sometimes when the horn doesn't work, it's kind of indication of a bad clock spring. But like you mentioned, the light is on now, so there will be a permanent DTC, which is a diagnostic trouble code, stored in that system. And from there, a technician will, of course, pull that code out of there and then go through a worksheet that basically tells them, test this, test this, test this, and basically it will, kind of present the problem.
Madeline, I did want to be sure of one thing. The light that is coming on, describe it on what the light looks like.
It looks like the sideways view of a passenger in a seat with a big round ball in front of
Okay,
him.
yeah, that is your regular light. I just wanted to be sure because sometimes there's a yellow light that comes on that says airbag off on some vehicle, well, most vehicles.
Yeah.
And that's just letting you know that something is sitting on the other seat that is too light to
turn
make
the
the
system on.
activate the airbag activate.
Oh,
so
okay.
it'll come on.
Gotcha.
But your regular airbag light does pertain to everything that John Ryan mentioned just now.
Okay. So why couldn't the dealer have found this before, though?
I don't have an answer for you for that, simply because there should be a trouble code stored in there. The only assumption I can make there is the code was probably in the system. However, the system was testing good at that time, which does happen. For instance, it might have had what they call a pending or a history DTC for, say, the right front seat belt, and a technician puts the scan tool in there, diagnoses it, looks at everything, and everything looks normal. That may be the scenario that happened.
And then he or she may have cleared that code
Cleared
right
the
after
code
that.
to see if it comes back on. That's right.
Okay. All right. Is this something that you handle down at your shop?
We do, yes.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Madeline,
Appreciate the
great
call.
question. Thank you very much. And that'll give us a chance to touch on airbag systems just a little bit, because we are doing a huge amount of airbag work now.
Yeah.
For everything for people like hers,
Right.
just riding
Regular
down the road and
customers,
come on,
collision shops,
and a
all
lot
kind
of
of stuff.
collision shops. And the system it's actually turns out to be fairly easy to diagnose in most cases. There's little
Speak for yourself, but keep going.
yeah, well, that is true.
Yeah.
But I mean, in other words, there's only so many components in the system,
Right.
And in
but
many
it is
cases,
a very dangerous system to work on.
yes,
It
yes,
is
you have to,
dangerous, yeah.
you absolutely have to have the right equipment. You absolutely have. It's not
Follow
one
the disarming
that we would
procedures.
ever tell somebody to go in and check
Yeah,
yourself.
just check the resistance on that bag over
Yeah,
there.
because once you hear that loud popping noise, then it's too late to
and
to
the
go
smoke
back.
clears. Well, Aaron, we don't have very much time left. Let's go ahead and get Gary on the line.
Are you trying to tell me to
Well, I
shut
have a
up?
question. They're talking about military equipment.
Yes.
And I have something from a few years ago that I'd like to talk about.
Absolutely. That'd be nice, Gary.
Okay. About 100 years ago, 1961, actually, I was stationed in the great state of Maine,
Uh-huh.
up about 15 miles from the Canadian border. And what we did, 38th Aviation Depot Group, we stored nukes for bombers, B-52s,
Mhm.
that were stationed at Loring Air Force Base and were designated to fly the DO line or to be on standby if needed for an attack on a foreign country with nukes.
Uh-huh.
And we had a machine that transported from our storage area to the base that was called a straddle carrier. It was a four-wheel drive thing powered by a 292 Ford engine.
Uh-huh.
It was chain drive from drive shafts assembled behind the cab of the driver and in front to the four wheels with the sprockets, of course, and drive shafts. But anyway, it was kind of a neat piece of equipment.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And
that was called a straddle what now?
Straddlecraft?
Straddle carrier.
Wow, that is really neat. And that stands out for you as far as your military, kind of like the F4 stands out for me.
That's right. Gary, we appreciate that.
Hey, Gary, that was very nice. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
All right, take care.
Okay, you take care also. Okay, we are just about to run out of time.
We are.
But I think I want to mention one more time again, want everyone to have a very safe
is key.
4th of July weekend and week coming up, because this show plays in different areas that may they may be hearing it a week from now. But the thing is, it would be very good for them to
we don't
be
want you
safe.
to have to listen to this show in the hospital.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. And be careful swimming, driving, just a whole shooting match, and grilling out, and all the other things that you would normally do. Okay, we are about out of time. Time clock is on E, and we need to pull over for now, but we will be back on the road in no time. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney, and our show producers are Zach Llewellyn, Bo Roberts, Dominic Frito, and Sandy Klein. And we would all like to say thank you to each and every one of you that tuned in, logged in, and especially those that called in to ride with us on the CNC Auto Show.